Republican Senator John McCain spent his Memorial Day in Syria meeting with rebel leaders in an apparent attempt to force more decisive action on the part of the Obama administration. Joining me now, Jennifer Palmieri, who is the White House Communications Director. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here on your stand-up spot where we normally see you.
That's absolutely right. All right, well, I want to get to John McCain's visit to Syria. Jen, did President Obama know about this visit? Did John McCain make him aware of it, and did the president sign off on it?
Well, the senator made the administration generally aware of his trip, and it's something that, now that it's completed, we look forward to hearing from him as a follow-up as to the developments that he saw on his trip.
When you say generally aware, how many days' notice did Senator McCain give the president?
That I am not aware of, but it is something that the State Department and the White House were both aware of, and and like I said, we look forward to hearing from him about what he learned on the trip.
Now, Senator McCain met with opposition forces.
Right.
They want President Obama to get more engaged in Syria. They want him to send weapons to opposition forces, possibly to create a no-fly zone. Does Senator McCain's trip put pressure on President Obama to take some of those actions?
I don't know that I don't believe that his trip puts more pressure on us. This is all of the options you described are what the administration is considering in terms of how we deal with Syria. And I believe Secretary Kerry was in Russia over the weekend discussing the issue with his counterpart there, hoping to have some talks in Geneva about this. So we continue to put a lot of thought, a lot of effort into it, and it's a constantly evolving evaluation on our part.
Okay, Jen, I want to move to the Department of Justice. As you know, it has come under a lot of criticism for seizing journalists' records. President Obama ordered the Attorney General to review his own policies. This is what Senator Lindsey Graham had to say about that over the weekend. Take a listen.
Well, this would be a good time to have a special counsel come forward or some independent group to look at it. We're beginning to criminalize journalism, and I think that should worry us all.
So, Jen, let me just get your reaction to that. Should there be an independent review in addition to the Attorney General reviewing his policies?
Well, first, I would say that, as you noted, this is an issue that the president is personally concerned about and thinks that, reporters should have the right and the protection of doing their job without fear of being prosecuted just for doing their job. And part of your job is to prod in areas that, that the government may not prefer to have information made public. We obviously have a serious concern about national security leaks, and we'll continue to prosecute them. But the president is concerned about what this means for reporters being able to do their job. I think that having the review happen within the Department of Justice probably gives you the best chances for actually having whatever the recommendations come out of the review implemented. I mean, these are processes and policies that are implemented by the Department of Justice. And to have them involved, to have them be the ones that are reviewing this and actually developing where these provisions need to happen and developing them in coordination or at least in consultation with the press, I would add, is, that's the best way to actually change this rather than doing something outside of the process. So that
Jen,
is what the president
Jen, how is it not a conflict of interest for the Attorney General to essentially be reviewing his own policies?
Well, because he's the one who's in charge of the policies. It's up to him to implement them, and it's up to him to shape them. And the president has made clear what his concerns are. And the Attorney General has said that he shares those concerns and understands these are the policies that are in place have been in place for 30 years. So it is something that probably needed to be looked at anyway. And the Attorney General understands the concerns that the press have. The president is concerned about this as well. And this is something that both of them take very seriously, and they're going to spend 45 days looking into this, talking to the press about how we think the best way to handle it is. And then at the end of that review, we'll have a report that comes out of that with recommendations for what to change. And I think, we can wait and see what comes out of that process and the press and others, as I'm sure you will make the appropriate judgments about how you feel that process has gone. But
all right,
at this
Jen,
point,
I want to get
it makes sense.
Jen, thanks. And I want to get to the president's trip today before we run out of time to the Jersey Shore. He's going to be meeting and greeted by Governor Chris Christie. I want to play a little bit of sound from Governor Chris Christie on the Today Show a few days ago. Take a listen, and I'll have you respond on the other side.
What people in my state want more than anything else is for me to do my job. And the fact of the matter is, he's the president of the United States, and he wants to come here and see the people of New Jersey. I'm the governor. I'll be here to welcome him.
So, Jen, does the president have any concerns that his trip could hurt Christie politically in the future moving forward? And did he discuss that with the governor before deciding on this trip?
No, he hasn't discussed any political concerns with the governor, and I think that the president views this trip the same way that Governor Christie said, which is this is both of them doing their job for the families and the businesses of New Jersey, particularly the Jersey Shore, that were hit so hard. And, you know, on Sunday, the president was in Oklahoma with Governor Fallon, another Republican governor, working with her to help the community of Moore, Oklahoma, that was so devastated. And I think we see this is sort of bipartisanship at its best, and the government working at its best when it's coming together under the leadership of FEMA to help these communities recover. And the president just wanted the people of New Jersey to know he's really committed to seeing them through. We know that job's not done.
Great. Jennifer Palmieri of the White House Communications Department, thank you so much for joining us today.